Well. How are we doing, Sickles? So, I have a brand new podcast for you, and I haven't done one for a little while, and I know I was supposed to upload this podcast a couple of days ago. However, my brother is here from down under, for 3 weeks, and he's already been here for about 2 weeks, something like that. But anyway, yes, I've been busy with him. The whole family have. We've been going for meals and just enjoying my time with my brother because he's been over there for quite a few years. We haven't seen him for a few years. Even though we do speak to him on video call, it's not the same as it than seeing him in the flesh. However, um, tonight I had a bit of spare time and I started talking about this or writing about this podcast this film I'm going to be talking about, or two films, shall I say, yesterday. And I have a lot more to talk about with these two movies combined because there's just a lot of talk. There is a lot to talk about. I can't get my words out tonight. I do apologize. So yeah, I'm going to try and do this podcast in one sequence instead of stopping and starting. So there is one thing I wanted to mention as well. I never put this on social media, but my brother, sister-in-law, and two nieces went to London a couple of days ago, and they saw Harry Potter, which I'm gonna admit I like the movies from Harry Potter, but I've never thought about going to the actual thing, in London. But they brought me back an owl. How lovely! And it is a toy owl. He's white and brown. And yes, I know Hedwig is white and grey. However, mine's white and brown, but I'm calling him Hedwig in anyway. Okay. So I just thought I'd slyly put that in there before we get on with this episode. But yeah, so today's podcast is all about Triple X Dark Web and Triple X Deep Web. Now, I've got to say, I loved the movie Dark Web, as everybody knows. I've did a previous podcast on that. But I am going to be talking about Deep Web as well today. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to incorporate both of them into this podcast, because I think they are two fascinating movies to watch. Like, they are right up my street. So if you are into effed up movies, gruesome, in your face, pushes the boundaries of extreme cinema, then these two movies you should definitely add to your cart. So I am going to go through both of these movies in as much detail as I can. However, I don't give spoilers. So if you are looking for spoilers, go onto YouTube because that is not me. I say this every single time. So yeah, and also as a side note, before we continue, I just want to say sensory, censored, whatever you want to call it. This is strictly for over 18s only. So if you are under the age of 18, I can't stress enough, you need to stop this podcast right now because I'm going to be going into a lot of detail with this movie, well, these movies, and I want to express to my audience how much I love these films and how much I am so grateful to own these on DVD. I'm so grateful I have these. Like, if it wasn't for these sort of movies, I wouldn't be into the movies I'm into, put it that way. So, anyway, we shall crack on. So, the first movie I'm going to be talking about is Triple X Dark Web. Now, I'm a little bit confused here because it has on the back of the DVD case I have here Italy UK 2019, and then it's got underneath 2020. So I can't remember if it was released in 2019 or 2020. I can't remember. It's the same on Triple X Deep Web as well. On the back of this DVD case, it says Italy UK 2018, and then underneath it, it says 2020. So I'm not too sure, okay? I'm just reading what I'm reading, okay? But anyway, the Triple X Dark Web, I'm just going to say 2020 for both of them, just to make it easier. It was distributed by Tetro Video, and Triple X Dark Web runs for around 80 minutes. Now, another thing I'm confused about is on the back of the DVD case it says directed by five of the most extreme international contemporary directors. However, on the bottom it says directed by, and there is six directors. So I'm not, unless there was a mistake in the back of the description, I'm not too sure. I can only imagine there was a little bit of a mix up on that bit there. But anyway, I'm just going to say six directors. Um, and the directors are Alejandro Hernandez. Please correct me if I butchered these names. I do apologize. Then we have Emmanuel Moschetto, White Gardenia, Domiziano Cristofaro, Adam Ford, and Lorenzo Dante Saroni. Saroni? Is that how you say his last name? I do apologise. I'm British. I'm from the northeast, Newcastle, so I do butcher a lot of foreign names. Okay, do apologise. But everybody might know White Gardenia from a lot of movies and stuff like that, and he's on my Facebook as well. Now, Adam Ford also directed the movie Torment, so that's maybe if you recognise Adam Ford's name, that's probably what you recognise him from. So Torment, and I've also got that DVD as well. I don't think I have talked about that movie. But Torment is basically, I'm going to call it a copy of John Wayne Gacy, essentially. The story about this guy that dresses as a clown and he gets a couple of victims, and that's pretty graphic as well. And that is also in the two extreme for mainstream. But that's Adam Ford. Now, one of the various reviews on the back of the XXX.web DVD. Now I can't pronounce the website name, but it's Cinemapa Antonomisia. Please, oh my god, please forgive me for butchering that. I'm terrible at these names. This is why I can't do movie reviews. But anyway, they claim edgy, crazy, disturbing, controversial, shocking, bizarre, and scandalous. Now, according to the back of the DVD, it states there's a compounding and unrevealing chaos that is perpetually in motion in the dark web toxic underbelly. The dark web operates with a high degree of anonymity. It hosts harmless activities and content as well as criminal ones. Tales of the Dark Web contains the new controversial anthology movie directed by five of the most extreme international contemporary directors. Now, as I said before, I did count six, so there must have been a bit of an error on that bit there. Now, I do have all my notes written down, so if you hear paper, that's what it is. I want to get everything right for this. So now, this movie that I have, DVD that I've got, also features bonus content such as behind the scenes, cast and crew interviews, teaser, and original trailer. Now, my DVD version is the 300 book box, limited edition DVD poster cover A. Now, as a side note, you can find more information about XXX.web by visiting tetrovideo.com, vimeo.com/tetrovideo, and or facebook.com/tetrovideo. Now, so this is how the movie begins. So we do start with the credits, like XXX.web, the cast, the crew, everybody like that, is you do see on every film. And then we see a young man who we find out a tiny little bit later on that he is Italian, sitting at his computer. Now, upon opening the website queenofhearts.com, a statement pops up on screen letting the Italian know that the website isn't safe and that it may indicate that someone is trying to deceive him or take his information. Well, he continues anyways. And as a side note, before we continue, I just want to stress that the importance of individual protection when it comes to the dark web. There is harmless activities and content, however, they still need to be protected at all times. I can't specify the reasons I used to work on the dark web, but don't worry, there was nothing illegal about it going on. But what I can tell you is a part of my role for the dark web was to track down certain individuals running certain websites that were illegal and reporting them to the right organisations. So that is why I know quite a bit about the dark web. And I know all too well how easy it is to hack into someone's computer. So imagine how easy it would be for the likes of me to hack into someone who doesn't know what they're doing. Um, but now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the dark web, it was first used for the FBI and the government to pass and provide information backwards and forwards to each other. Then, after that, people all over the world got on the dark web, and here we are today. Now, imagine an iceberg. The top of the iceberg above sea level is the mainstream web, such as Google, YouTube, .com, .co.uk, .au, etc. Now, the deep web, which is the middle of the iceberg, is just below sea level, and this is the deep web, and it contains storage sites, research articles, legal documents, and so on. Now, the dark web is at the bottom of the iceberg, and this contains onion sites, hidden marketplaces such as drugs, guns, hitmen, and forums for porn and paedophiles. Now, there is other websites and marketplaces on the dark web and the deep dark web that are pretty much illegal, you know. But there is one or two things that I do go into with the next movie I'm going to be talking about, which is Triple X Deep Web. But like I said, I'm going to talk about that when the time comes with the movie. Now, the only way to stay safe on the dark web and deep web is if you have the Tor browser and a VPN, which is a virtual private network, and a hidden web camera, because they can hack into your web camera pretty easy. It's the webcam they hack into first, essentially, when they do the hacking, if that makes sense. So they do the hacking, they get into your webcam, and then they get your details. So now, if you want more information about the dark web, the deep web, or the Tor browser or VPN, then just pass me a message on any of my social media, and I will talk you through it, essentially. Now, going back to the movie, the website in which this young guy visits, Queen of Hearts. Now, I looked it up so you didn't have to, okay? And it led me to the Queen of Hearts superfood. So I was a bit disappointed, I'm not gonna lie, but I was kind of glad at the same time, you know? I thought it was pretty hilarious, if I'm honest, when I come up with this superfood website. But if you're into salad dressings, that's made with omega-3 healthy fats, has zero fake oils, fillers, or preservatives, then try them. I might even try them myself. So, you know, if it wasn't for this movie, then I wouldn't have found a new beverage that I could add into my food. So, yeah, thanks to the director for that, for leading me to a salad dressing website. Quite interesting. But anyway, but now back to the movie again. So the guy proceeds to his chosen site, and we are presented with a login screen, then a list of links to various different sites called hidden service lists and search engines. Now, if you're familiar with the Tor browser, you'll know what DuckDuckGo is, Torch, Onion URL, the Hidden Wiki, etc. Now, if you don't have a VPN, if you don't have the Tor browser, I would not advise going on these websites, any at all. Because, like I said, the minute you go onto the Tor browser and you're searching one thing, there's a hacker waiting to score. So please do not, under any circumstances, go onto the dark web without a VPN, a hidden web camera, or the Tor browser, because you're looking for trouble if you do that. If you want trouble at your door, if you want hackers hacking into your bank details and everything like that, go right ahead. But I am telling you right now, that has nothing to do with me. I warned you, do not do it. Okay? But if you are pretty experienced with the Tor browser and the VPN, and you are pretty secure, then you can go as far as you like. I, however, am not telling you to do that. I don't want you to do that. I have the Tor browser. I have a VPN, and I did go on the Tor browser on those links that were saw on the video just to see if they would work, and they do work. So I'm not telling you what I saw. Most of it was just search engines, if I'm honest. Um, but there is one particular link which I searched in, which tells you all of the other websites which you can visit. I'm not telling you which one it was. You can, if you want to get into trouble, do your own research. But I was pretty secure. So yeah, and I come straight back off it. A little side note, however, with the Tor browser, do not have it full screen. Like when you go on Facebook and stuff, never have it full screen. I don't know why this makes a difference, but according to a lot of people, there is a difference. So make sure your screen is not at full capacity. So that is another little tip there for you if you do decide to go down that route. Now, so again, like I said, he clicks on these links. Now we are presented with three main videos on the screen. So he clicks on one to begin with. Now, the first video features a blonde woman, white nails, in what looks to be like a transparent veil over her entire body. She's naked, of course. And in this scene, there is a bit of blood involved. Um, so yeah, um, I don't want to go too much into that one because it's it's not well. I'll be giving too much away if I say too much. Put it that way. And it's not as long as some of the other scenes in this film, so I'm not really go too heavy into that one. But all I'm going to say is that there's this blonde woman, she's naked, and she's got a needle. That's all I'm saying for that one. Now, the next scene. So, the next scene that we see is a male masturbating to what I believe is a gruesome set of imagery. Then a series of vaginas on the screen with a -1. And then in comes a bound male, a male with, I'm going to call it a Slipknot mask, the one with the long nose, the Pinocchio nose from Chris Finn. Now, I only know this because I like the band Slipknot. My favourite song from them is Psychosocial. If you haven't heard that one, go and check it out. But I do like Slipknot. But anyway, another male that is in the room as well, and they're both touching him off, and being sexual towards him. He obviously does not like this. Um, I mean, if he did like it, I'd be very concerned. Um, but there is blood involved. And I'm sure the guy with the Pinocchio mask is the same guy as the one that was wanking just a second ago to the imagery. Now, there is some vomit involved. I'm not saying who by, where it's come from, but there's vomit involved. There is a scene involving victims' arsehole, so that guy that found his arsehole, his teeth, but that's all I'm saying. I want to tease you enough so you will be like, oh, I'm going to buy this, you know. So go and buy it, you've got to. But anyway, so now the second scene, in that scene I've just talked about, is a lot more bloodier and brutal than the one that I've just mentioned. And by the way, the poster that is featured in this segment, the actor sent me the poster through emails, but I accidentally lost it. So I've been in touch with Daniel, aka White Gardenia, who's in the latter part of this film, um, who was also featured in the film, like I've just said, to resend it over, but he hasn't responded yet. He did say he was going to look for it, but I think he's been that busy, he hasn't had time to look for it. But I'm pretty sure he will find it and he'll send it over. Because once he does send it over, I'm printing it off straight away and I'm putting it in a frame and putting it in my bathroom, just like the actor told me to. So, yeah. So if you're listening to this, I'm going to put it in my bathroom. Thanks for the advice. But moving swiftly on, the next scene we see a masked man with a dog mask and an apron. Now, he has a female victim. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail about this one either because it's pretty straightforward with the scene that we see with this guy and the female victim. I'm pretty sure you can guess what happens, but it's a lot more brutal than what you think is going to happen. So you definitely need to buy the movie to check this scene out in particular. very strange, very surreal, um, very sadistic, um, like they all are. So yeah. So again, this is another scene that is well worth the watch in this film. So again, I can't stress enough. You need to go and buy both of these films to watch what I'm talking about. Because I feel like I can only talk about so much with these movies and only express how I feel about these movies. But not everybody likes a certain thing in these movies. So I do have to highlight certain things, but I'm not going to give anything away, like I said before. So, yeah, but I'm rambling a bit too hard now, so we're going to move on. So now the next video is deconstructing Roberto. Now this is the Italian, a very lovely looking guy. Okay, um, I wish I knew how to speak Italian. How do you say a lovely looking guy in Italian? Please let me know, and I want to say that next time in my podcast, just to say it. But anyway, um, you know, he's not the only nice looking guy in this film either. Okay, like there's loads of good looking guys in these two films put together, and a lot of lovely looking ladies as well. That's all I'm saying. Now he proceeds to get naked, and he goes through a series of tests, which is all I'm saying on that. But there is a lot of let me just give you a little insight to this one. It's not going to give too much away, but I don't want to say too much at the same time. It's so hard. Um, so he has headphones in one scene. Um, he has a device of some sort in a different scene. There is a mobile phone and an injection on another scene. But that's all I'm saying. So anyway, but now moving on, we see the one and only White Gardenia segment. Now there is a lot of blood in this. The famous scene in which I had to ask Daniel himself if he really did what he did. Because let me tell you, I actually thought it was fake. But Daniel told me he actually done it. So for there to be a real scene, I mean, I'm not saying none of the others isn't real, because you can tell they are. Apart from certain things like the killing part of it, that's obviously fake. Um, but yeah, I couldn't believe my eyes when I seen that, and I actually did put my hand on my mouth at that scene. I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, that was a very shocking scene indeed. Um, I mean, Daniel, Christ, he can take it. I honestly, I don't know how he can. I don't know how he did what he did, to be honest. And that's why I interviewed Daniel, White Gardenia. Sorry, that's why I interviewed him, because he is a very fascinating person to me, you know. And anybody that's fascinating intrigues me, and I want to know more. So, for example, all of the directors in this movie, all of the directors and actors in these movies that I'm talking about, Lucifer Valentine. I would love to do an interview with Lucifer Valentine. However, I did ask Lucifer Valentine if he would be up for an interview of some sort, where either I send in the questions, he responds via audio responses, or even if he writes his responses. He has looked at my message, he's read them, but he hasn't responded yet. So he could just be busy. I don't know. But I'm going to get that interview for sure, because he is one director, Lucifer Valentine, that I've wanted to interview for years. And I mean years, since I first saw uh, Slaughtered Vomit Dolls. So yeah, look forward to that interview if and when it comes. I will keep you posted though regarding that. But anyway, moving back to White Gardenia's segment, the segment with White Gardenia, Daniel Valiant, there is another scene in his segment in particular where he has these two girls involved, and they do a series of things as well. And obviously there's these bottles of sterilizer, I believe it is, that sterilizes what they're using. So yeah, so that's all I'm saying about that scene in particular. But for that scene, I mean for all of the scenes, I was going to say for that scene alone, you need to buy the film. I can't stop saying it, I really can't. All of the scenes, you need to buy it, because I'm going to explain that at the end of this episode, why. my explanation for that. But anyway, now we come to the finale of this movie, Triple X Dark Web. That's the right one. Um, the guy who was watching those movies was caught because he came off the computer, he got straight onto his bed and was on Facebook. Now, a stranger on Facebook Messenger sent him images of himself wanking off. Now, he asks who it is, and this guy comes back with a couple of messages, and then he gets blocked. So he's been caught out on the dark web, and this is also the reason why you should be safe and you should have a VPN, a blocked up webcam, because I have a couple of stickers over my webcam on my iMac because I don't trust anyone. I'm not doing anything I shouldn't. I'm not, you know, doing anything really on my computer. It's just I don't want anybody to see who I am, like complete strangers on the dark web, if that makes sense. I'm not bothered about the likes of you seeing what I look like, but it's people that I don't know. Like I said, on the dark web specifically, not so much on the mainstream web. Now, I will say, this movie, it is definitely not for the faint of heart, okay? Now, a lot of it is real, like I said, especially Daniel's part. Um, but I'd also like to class this movie as gore porn because of the nature of this movie. Now, I am going to move on to the Triple X Deep Web, the second in the series. Now, this movie intrigues me on a more personal level as I have knowledge about certain things I've seen in this film, and I will go through a few. However, I'm not revealing all of the interesting parts, as that is the whole point of the listener, is to go out and buy it and support the directors and the movie. So, Triple X Deep Web. Again, I'm going to say it's from 2020. Again, it's distributed by Tetro Video, which runs for around 77 minutes. Now, the first one ran for 80 minutes, so 77, 78, 79, 80, so 3 minutes less. So 3 minutes less of a movie, but just as intense, if not that bit more intense than the first one, Triple X Dark Web. So we're going to move on to that one. Now, Triple X Deep Web, like I said before, as I mentioned on the other one, on the back of the DVD, it does state that it is directed by 7 of the most extreme international contemporary directors. However, I have counted 7 directors, and they are Damiziano Cristofaro, sorry, like in the first one, Sam Mason Bell, Elisa or Eliza C. Fumongali? Fumongali? Is that how we say it? I'm really sorry. Martina March? I've probably butchered that. I've got a feeling I've butchered it. David Pesca, Emmanuel Moscheto, and Jason Impey. Now, Jason Impey is on my Facebook page, and I follow everything he does, and I followed his Instagram for a while, and he has spiders and everything, and to be honest with you, my biological dad had spiders, tarantulas, and they don't scare me, but they're very, very pretty to look at, especially with some of them with the colours they've got. Yeah, Jason, if you're listening to this, I don't know how you do that, but good on you. If you're a tarantula lover, good for you. Okay, I am not judging. Um, but anyway, I'm more of an owl fan, as you can tell. From previous episodes, I think I've mentioned my love for owls on my Twitter or on my social. Can't remember. Anyway, but now for the Triple X Deep Web, there is one review from ExtremeHorrorCinema.com that states probably, I should say, one of the most controversial and sexually graphic anthologies I have ever witnessed. I have to agree for the first time. I have to agree. Because you know how some of these, like, people come out and say, oh, the most extreme cinema movie of all time. They all say the same thing. But with this, it's spot on. So take the word for it. Okay? Anyway. But now, according to the back of the DVD, it states, and I'm going to read it off the back, they say that you don't surf the deep web, you just dive into it. Kind of true, kind of true. I kind of agree with that, but kind of don't. Because, like I said before, people that are unsure of the dark web really hesitate. Like the guy on Triple X Deep Web that you see, he really debates going on there, um, but he eventually does. And then once you are on there, you can't seem to keep away. You know, that is that's the downfall, I think, for people with the dark web and the deep dark web is they get too intrigued with it, you know. But anyway, and then it states the deep web refers to all of the content of the World Wide Web that doesn't form part of the surface web. Correct? Deep Web Triple X is a controversial anthology movie directed by seven of the most extreme international contemporary directors. Now, this one also has bonus features of behind the scenes, cast and crew interviews, teaser, and original trailer. Now, my DVD version is the 100 book box limited edition DVD and poster cover A. Now, if you want any more information on Triple X Deep Web, you can visit the distribution website at tetrovideo.com, vimeo.com/tetrovideo, or facebook.com/tetrovideo. So that is that. Now the directors that we have, like I said, the Domiciano Cristoforo was also in the first one, Triple X Dark Web, and obviously Jason Ippery's on my Facebook. I'm really surprised that White Gardenia isn't in this one. Um, just because Domiciano Cristoforo was in this one and the other one. I thought maybe he would have been in this one, but he hasn't. He's not. But that's alright, that's fine. Not to worry about that. Now, let me have a look at my notes. So yeah, so this movie, I will have to mention about this movie in particular. Between this one and Triple X Deep Web and Triple X Dark Web, what I'm trying to say is the difference is Triple X Deep Web. I keep getting the names mixed up. Triple X Deep Web is a lot more graphic and a lot more in your face, and they don't hold anything back. That's for sure. I mean, I know the first one was just the same. However, this one is a lot more graphic with what they're shown on screen for a number of reasons, which I'm going to go through now. So at the beginning of Triple X Deep Web, very much like the dark web, the first one, we have a male on his laptop, but this time he's really debating on venturing into the deep web. After some thinking, however, he downloads Tor. Now let the games begin. Now again, this man searches Queen of Hearts. Now, as I said before, if you like salad dressings, then it should be easy to remember. But now after seeing this pop up more on Deep Web, the Queen of Hearts card, you see this quite a lot in the Deep Web video than you do on the first one. So that is something to keep in mind as well. Now I had to ask Daniel, aka White Gardenia, about the card, the Queen of Hearts. And I have sent him a message, but he hasn't responded as of yet. But my next podcast, I will add it in what Daniel comes back with, because I think it's very fascinating that you know they added the Queen of Hearts card. Um, they did mention it in the first one, like I said, but it was just the website and that was it. But in this one, they do show the card itself. So I thought that was quite interesting, and especially in one scene in particular, a guy in this film holds up to the camera the Queen of Hearts card. So yeah, interesting. But now, the difference with the Tor browser on this movie to the first one, on this movie is the title page and the images of the top 6 movie images that we see. Now, the title page this time is called Host Weird Videos on the Deep Web. So, and then on the images, there is names on each video. Now, this guy did a good job acting because his eyes lit up finding these videos, and I mean really lit up. It really makes me curious though as to how many people are actually enjoying this kind of porn. Let's be honest. I don't agree with it for certain reasons, such as killing someone, aka killing porn, as I call it, um, or of children when it comes to paedophiles or animal porn. Those are where I draw the line. However, if porn such as what we are talking about today in Triple X Deep Web and Triple X Dark Web is concerned, between both or all parties involved, then that's fine. Um, I don't see any issue as long as you're protected because, I think we all know that anyone, the moment they, can hack your computer, they will, you know. But anyway, moving on from that. Now, this guy fills this in the bank details just like the first guy did. Now, the first wrong move is putting your bank details into the dark web net. Um, what they should have done is create a wallet, a certain wallet on a certain website where they transfer money over and pay that way. The wallet doesn't have a certain, a sender address and it doesn't have a receiver address, so nobody knows where it goes or comes from. So it's completely safe. But moving on from that, now one of the first clips this guy clicks on is based around a female only event. You've guessed it. It's a porn or a sex event. Now, upon entering, they show their Queen of Hearts card, so which I'm assuming is their password or VIP card. Now, a lot of filming goes on in this sequence, and a lot of mask wearing. A male gets force fed, a woman wearing a rabbit mask, which is pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. Um, and she's wearing a strap on. And a guy in a collar and lead, a butt plug that looks like a tail, a flogger is being used also. Um, then in comes the hottest guy. When I seen him, I was like, oh yes, this is my kind of party, you know. There is water sports happening, and also spitting in his mouth. But there's a lot more that goes on in that scene. That's just the tip of it. What happens? So it is pretty graphic. It is pretty intense. Um, but yeah, but now the guy watching this thinks it's funny at the end of the sequence. Now, I just want to go through some of what I've just stated for those who are unfamiliar with what I've just said, or for those that just think it may be made up for the movie. Now, I can assure you right now that the female only event, this taught me that it's not just any female group. They were on the verge of mistresses from the BDSM lifestyle. Now, the masks, especially like the dog mask and what I stated above as the collar and the lead, that's very much a sub role of submissive called pet or pet play, um, along with the tail butt plug. That's very common in a submissive that enjoys pet play, essentially. Now, the spitting in the mouth is also a form of control. A lot of mistresses spit in the mouth of their slave, and some put cigarettes out in their mouth as well. And that is also a form of control. Now, the next clip is a guy taking a woman, um, tying her up. In other words, CNC. In the fetish world, this is called consensual non-consensual, where both parties state they're into CNC, consensual non-consensual, and they both agree on a date, a time, etc., and act out on the kidnapping, RP, other words, rape play. So it's both agreed on that they are into this, and they have certain limits and stuff that they won't go over and whatnot, and they play it out, and that's what that next scene entails. But I'm not going to go into any more detail about what this clip entails or others. However, there is one more clip I do want to talk about. Now, Deadly Fist. Wow. Holy Jesus. Apologies about using the Lord's name in vain. But holy macaroni. We see a guy holding up a Queen of Hearts card, like I mentioned before, and we see a guy strapped to a St James. That's Newcastle football pitch. The St Andrew's cross, getting flogged. Now I'm a little bit overexcited with that part because obviously a St Andrew's cross is probably one of my favourite things. And flogging is probably one of my favourite toys, a flogger. As I talked about, if you remember, when I did my interview with Miss Stocks, we talked about our favourite toys. Mine is the flogger, always. Um, and so, yeah, I enjoyed that interview. If you want to get me back with Mrs. Stocks for another interview, let me know. I would love to interview her again. And also, I want to interview somebody else as well, an actress from um, Sam Hell's movies. I've already interviewed her, but I want to interview her again. So let me know if you want me to interview any of those. Um, so moving on from that, then we see a goat mask, a pig mask, and a dog mask, and also an anal scene, which is the most brutalist scene in this whole scene altogether. So this is the more sadistic, more bloodier, yeah, like I've got no words to describe this scene. It's brutal, so that is the brutalest part of this scene altogether. But anyway, now the next scene we see Crucifix. That's the name of the movie that this guy clicks on, just so you know. Now this one isn't as intense as the other clips, however, there is a religious part about it, with the female being nailed to the cross and a nun praying. However, don't let that put you off. I mean, they made the previous clips what they did. You don't honestly believe that they'd fail you now, do you? Like, no, no. Of course I wouldn't. Okay, but anyway, I'm not going into that. But the next video we have is Test Teens. Now, there's three girls in this one who lick off a substance off the Queen of Hearts card, and they go through a series of emotions. Now, I'm not going to go into what emotions they are, but there's vomit involved. They go a little bit insane. So that's what I'm saying with that one. Now, the next video we see is Enjoy Feeding Me. That's the name of the video again, what the guy clicks on. Now, this reminds me of a scene from Sallow, the razor blades and the bread. However, there's no razor blades in this. But there is something else that's sharp. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, well, the last sequence involves a male masked. Now, he's wanting to a murder of a woman. This woman on screen, she gets kidnapped. I'm assuming she gets killed, and he's wanting after this. Now, something happens, but I don't want to say anything else from that point because, from the point of him wanting after this video, it goes haywire. That's all I'm saying. Okay. So I don't want to go too much into that one either. But other than that, that is basically an overview of the two movies put together. Um, so Triple X Dark Web and Triple X Deep Web, great movies. So my conclusions altogether is you need to watch both, as they are both based on two parts of the underground web, is what I call it. They both have very different stories involved. They're both extreme in their own way. And in my humble opinion, they are unique just as much as the likes of Lucifer Valentine's movies, August Underground, a Serbian film, and so on. Now, these movies themselves aren't better than the other ones. They are all on the same level, okay? If not, these two, Triple X Dark Web and Triple X Deep Web, are more gruesome, um, in a way. You know, they're not more gruesome. They're more gruesome in their own way. That's what I'm trying to say. They are very much in your face and very disturbing for sure. It's not the typical type of video anybody can watch. That's for damn sure. It's only for sickos like us. But yeah. Now, so the two movies, I am going to say I am enjoyed to have them in my collection for sure. They to me are definitely cult classics and in their own right. So, guys, I just want to say a couple more things uh, before we finish this episode up about these movies. The female only event on Triple X Dark deep web, sorry. Like I said before, it seems like my kind of party, especially when it's got hot guys and hot chicks in it. I mean, I'm all down for that. I mean, I am in the BDSM lifestyle, so I'm all down for anything fetish like that. But anyway, now I really appreciate the directors for adding in as much BDSM elements as much as they did. It's a way to introduce the fetish world in a light way, as the people that watch these movies won't be as taken aback by what they're watching, like other individuals who watch the likes of Disney, you know. Just an example for you. Um, and it's a way to introduce the fetish world to those that may be interested in that side of things that maybe haven't seen as much before, you know. I will say, apart from 29 Needles by Scott Philip Gergens and I Cut Your Flesh from Sam Hell, these are the only four movies, and especially Dark Web and Deep Web, that has as much fetish elements involved as they do in the movies. So yeah, so I would definitely recommend these movies. Again, you can find these movies, all the information at tetrovideo.com, vimo.com/tetrovideo, or facebook.com/tetrovideo. You can find me on Facebook at Sensory Stowers. Instagram is official Sensory Stowers. Let me know what you think. If you have seen these movies, then let me know. And as a side note, I will inform you that I have purchased a new movie called The Art of Self Harm by Jonathan Doe. He's on my Facebook as well. At Vile Video Productions, featuring the one and only White Gardenia. So that looks fascinating. I will definitely keep you posted on future podcasts and my Facebook, Instagram, and whatnot. And yeah, I will definitely keep you posted. So with that, without further ado, I'm going to let you sickos go. Enjoy this podcast, and I will catch you